Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us to your Business Breakthrough Radio Show. We are here to introduce you to information to help you take your business to the next level. Let's see about getting you inspired. We have an incredible speaker today. Linda Mercer is here to share her experiences on what happened to where she broke through her business and really became prosperous. So let us all welcome Linda Mercer.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you for having me.
Good. Well, I am sure, like many of us who started out working and we were so diligent and moving through, when we were wondering if we should even stay in business, I know I did. And then at some point we got that aha moment. We had that breakthrough. Do you have a story like that of something you went through that took you to the next level with your business?
I do.
Please share.
I discovered my vision, I would say, when I finally got really clear on my vision, and it was 20 plus years ago. Part of my vision was getting my message out to many, many people, thousands of people, through writing books and being on stage, etc. And what I was confronted with that was the fact that I had been terrified of public speaking all my life, ever since 8th grade when I did my first public speaking, when I was running for student body officer. And when I got up on the stage, I froze. My mouth felt like it was full of cotton. My heart was racing so fast I couldn't hear myself think. And I just completely flubbed it up. I didn't win the election. And from then on, I just avoided public speaking at all costs and thought that I was, a miserable failure at it. So once I saw my vision and really got clear about my vision, and it really originated after I was diagnosed in my 30s with multiple sclerosis and told that I was going to just become progressively disabled, that there was nothing they could do for me except give me antidepressants and steroids. It was such a devastating experience, but fortunately, I was guided very shortly after that to seek out alternative medicine, some integrative practitioners that really this was the 1980s, and there were very few of them around, so it was like a miracle in itself. But I was able to completely reverse my multiple sclerosis, all the symptoms, you always have it in your body, but I was able to completely reverse my symptoms within a year. I've remained symptom-free ever since. So after I had been able to reverse this very devastating disease, I knew that my mission and my purpose was to help, as many people as I could, both prevent that ever happening or getting sick or getting diseases and illnesses, or if they have already gotten one or developed one, then how to reverse it, that you don't have to take these life sentences and just take medication for the rest of your life and let your life deteriorate. So I knew it was my purpose. I knew it was my mission. I was completely committed to doing that. And as I said, I wasn't sure how I was going to do it, but I did go back to school to become a licensed psychotherapist because I felt that was a way that I could really help people make the changes they needed to. And during that time, I got this vision that I had just shared a few moments ago about. I got very clear that how I would get the word out would involve reaching many people with my message through books and speaking. So I started studying about speaking. I joined Toastmasters. I went to seminars, etc. Also, part of that mission or the vision that I had was actually to start a wellness center, which I did, and I incorporated my psychotherapy practice into it. Part of that, what I did with this wellness center was I invited best-selling authors like Judith Orloff, Larry Dossey, Shakti Gawain, Andrew Weil, all these really best-selling authors and luminaries in their field to come to my center and run retreat. What happened was that the people who were coming to these seminars after the famous people were there giving their seminars, and then some people would line up in front of them after they spoke. But what started happening is people started lining up in front of me. And I didn't understand why at first. And they're saying, we want to hear your story. How did you get started in this? How did you create this? This was and then they started telling me, you need to tell your story. And so that I started speaking that way. I continued to speak locally at all, many different venues. And I did a lot of corporate seminars and retreats as well. But I never really felt powerful when I was speaking. I never felt like I was really communicating my true message. I felt like I wasn't good enough. I didn't feel authentic. I felt really like a chameleon, like I was trying to say whatever I thought people wanted to hear. I didn't want to rock the boat. So what happened is I never really was able to feel like I was a really effective or powerful speaker. I didn't seek out national speaking engagements or international or anything larger. So I kind of played small during that time, but I was out speaking, even though my dream was to be able to be a very powerful speaker that reached thousands of people. I started writing a book about that time in 2001, and I still hadn't been able to finish my book or get it published. And it was the same kind of obstacle that was stopping me. It was like I didn't feel like I was ready. I didn't feel good enough. I basically just didn't feel good enough about myself. I didn't feel worthy enough. So that blocked me from doing all of those. So that went on for about 20 years. Then about 3 or 4 years ago, I was going through a rough period and searching for a solution or answers for myself. I came across this work on the shadow. And the shadow work is working with the parts of yourself that we deny, we disown, we reject, right? And that comes about in our childhood, really, when, from the time that we're born, really, anytime that anyone doesn't accept something about us or disapprove, criticize, or even abandonment or ignoring, anything that was shamed on us or that we felt embarrassed or humiliated about. What happens is that we start disowning these parts. We start getting rid of those pieces of ourselves, and we see them as bad, as defective, and we start losing our wholeness. Really, we start losing our true self. Once I started working with the shadow, I felt like this windows and doors, all the doors started open. I could see had been holding me back, because what I found is that with so many entrepreneurs and all of the people in the world that are really wanting to change the world, improve the world, or improve themselves, become entrepreneurs to do that and work on themselves. And yet so many of us end up still not feeling good enough or ready. We're always perfecting things because we just don't feel like we're quite good enough, or we can't really get traction on our end, step into our power, really step up to the plate and play a bigger game. So we just kind of hobble along, playing small and hiding in all kinds of ways. The hiding shows up. I'm sure a lot of people would recognize, how it shows up. It tells us we need another degree, or we need to go rewrite, or just keep polishing things and are doing things that look like we're really taking action, but we're really not. What really shifted for me is that I personally, like so many entrepreneurs, had been on a long, 20-year journey of trying to improve myself through my body, healing my body, my mind, my emotions, and my spirit. And yet there were always these pieces that were still holding me back. And I felt like somehow I had failed, or was failing to be able to overcome all these defects or all these bad parts. And so then I felt ashamed about that, or I felt bad that I wasn't able to overcome it. It just was really holding me back. Working with the shadow did for me was to completely change my worldview, my view of myself and myself in the world. That I have character defects, I have bad things about myself that I don't like. Instead of seeing it like that and trying to sort of hide it or ignore it or push it away, and in essence, losing my authenticity and my true self and my wholeness by doing that, this work taught me to stop that immediately, to see every single thing that I'd ever considered to be bad or defective or wrong with me as a gift. A gift that actually, when you start working with the shadow, you start to see that it's not your gifts, but it's the essence of who we are is embedded in our shadow, in our dark side. That changed everything for me. So I started, it was like a 180 turnaround for me immediately. And then the progress as I continued to discover and not only accept these defects and what I had considered defects, these parts of me that I had not liked, but to reclaim them and to embrace them. After that, I finished writing my book. I published my book. It went to Amazon bestseller in 3 categories. And on day 1, I created an online presence and became a blogger, developed a following, my tribe. I created a signature program, my signature talk. I started getting invites because I was reaching out and putting myself out there with confidence and belief in myself again to speaking gigs at national conferences, at summits. I spoke at the National Wellness Association's annual conference in Minnesota that, within a few months, really, within 6 months of that. And I spoke on stage for the Global Women's Summit with Marianne Williamson and Sharon Lechter and just kept getting this opening. So people heard about me and my book was reaching people and it completely opened up my business. Finally got the momentum and I finally got the fulfillment and the heart satisfaction that really living my dream, of really living my purpose without all of these blocks that I'd had that were holding me back, and how to play a bigger game. That's my story. And if we have time, I can talk about some of the obstacles that are related to this shadow.
Linda, I must say, I am humbled to have you here with us now. You had multiple sclerosis, and you didn't let that stop you, because I'm sure there are plenty of people listening right now that feel like, oh, well, I have this. And these are not things that you have created for yourself. This is not insecurity that you created. This is something that you were born with that needed to be addressed in a big way. And you did that. You got the help. You found a solution. You didn't let it stop you. But then to take the next step to do the retreat, you still played big by asking, which is not that easy. Part of the big thing about businesses is asking people and getting out there. You were asking well-known big authors, contacting them to come, and they did that. It's just so amazing, your story. I'm really loving it. And I think one of the most important statements that you made is recognizing that everything about you, about me, about every member of our audience, everything about us, whether it's good or not good, it is the essence of who we are.
Yes.
And owning that completeness of who we are, to me, that perfect puzzle piece that fits into the universe that's necessary to complete the universal whole.
Absolutely. That's how I see it too, because I've my book in fact addresses wellness and even recovery from disease, but I've always focused on all the nutrition, the mind, the emotions, the spirit, and it was always, why can't I just focus on one? It would be so much easier.
Yeah, right.
But I kept saying, it will reveal itself. It will reveal itself. And it's come to that sense of, it's the search for wholeness. And I think that's what spiritual growth and personal growth and even professional growth is that search for wholeness, to become whole and become, to self-actualize. I always say, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, or even the chakras take us through that journey to self-actualize by becoming whole. But it's very hard to do when we've cut off all these chunks of ourselves.
Yes, and we get into thinking that we have negative aspects about ourselves. And I think another thing you had said is that you finally, when you were able to reach out and help people, you found heart satisfaction.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that was your reward. You became